Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're going to be looking at the Solana blockchain.
Oh
We've
yeah.
got a whole bunch of articles here about it,
Woo.
about how it works, what its advantages are, and why people are so excited about it.
Solana is very cool.
Yeah, so by the end of this deep dive, you'll know not only what Solana is, but why it matters, in the big picture of where blockchain is headed.
It's definitely shaking things up.
Yeah, so first off, let's talk speed. One of the things I keep seeing is how incredibly fast Solana is compared to something like Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Yeah.
It's like comparing a race car to a horse-drawn carriage.
That's a great analogy. A lot of that speed comes down to how Solana handles the transaction verification.
Okay.
Older blockchains like Bitcoin, they use proof of work,
Right.
which is really energy intensive. And you remember when Elon Musk and Tesla
Oh, yeah.
pulled back from accepting Bitcoin?
Yeah, that was huge.
That was a big deal, and concerns about the proof of work environmental impact were a big factor in that.
Right. So Solana found a better way.
Well, Solana uses proof of stake,
Okay.
where users who hold the most SOL, which is Solana's cryptocurrency,
Right.
they get to validate transactions. So it's kind of like having voting rights in a company.
Uh-huh.
The more shares you own, the bigger say you have.
Makes sense.
And because it doesn't require a ton of computing power, it's much more energy efficient.
Okay, so that explains why it's faster and greener. But there's this other thing I keep hearing about, proof of history.
Right?
What is that all about?
Proof of history, or POH,
Uh-huh.
is where Solana gets really innovative.
Okay.
It's like a built-in timekeeping system that makes the whole network super efficient.
Timekeeping. I don't get how that makes a blockchain faster.
Imagine you're watching a relay race.
Okay.
In a traditional blockchain, each runner has to wait for the one before them to finish and pass the baton.
Okay.
That's how transactions work. Each one needs to be confirmed by the whole network before the next one can even start.
So it's very slow, very orderly.
Exactly. But with Solana's POH, it's like all the runners have synchronized watches,
Okay.
and they can just start running when their watch hits the right time.
Right.
POH basically timestamps each transaction so everyone knows the order they happened in without having to constantly check with each other.
So it's not about who gets to validate the transaction like with proof of stake.
Yeah.
It's about making the whole process smoother
Exactly.
and faster.
POH isn't a replacement for proof of stake. It works alongside it to optimize the whole network.
Got it.
This is how Solana can handle a staggering 50,000 transactions per second.
50,000. That's mind-blowing. My internet can barely handle downloading one movie at a time.
Okay.
So if I'm getting this right, the combination of proof of stake and proof of history is what makes Solana so speedy.
You got it, but it doesn't stop there.
Okay.
Solana also uses a whole bunch of other tools to optimize the performance.
Hold on. Before we get into that, it sounds like Solana is aiming to solve the blockchain trilemma. That idea that you can only have 2 out of 3
Yeah,
speed, security, or decentralization.
that's a sharp observation. A lot of people think you have to sacrifice one to get the other two,
Right.
but Solana's trying to prove you can have it all.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. So tell me about these other tools that Solana is using. What makes up this secret sauce they've cooked up?
Well, to stick with our relay race analogy, Solana has figured out ways to not only start the runners faster, but to make each runner more efficient.
Okay.
For example, there's something called Turbine, which makes sure the data is passed between runners as quickly as possible.
Interesting. So it's not just about having a good starting system. It's about optimizing every step of the way.
Right, and then you have Sealevel, which allows multiple transactions to be processed at the same time.
Okay.
Think of it like having multiple lanes on a racetrack instead of everyone trying to squeeze into one.
Okay, so they're parallelizing the process. What else?
Then there's pipelining,
Oh,
which streamlines the whole transaction process. It's like
Right.
an assembly line where different parts of the transaction are handled simultaneously. And then there's Cloudbreak, which is a special database that makes storing and accessing data incredibly fast, like having all the race information instantly accessible at your fingertips.
I'm starting to see why Solana is getting so much attention. This isn't just incremental improvement. This is a whole new approach to how blockchains work.
Yeah, it really is a paradigm shift.
Yeah.
And with all these efficiency improvements, Solana manages to keep transaction fees incredibly low.
Yeah, I bet that's a huge draw, especially compared to the gas fees on Ethereum, which can get pretty hefty.
Oh yeah, this can be rough.
Yeah. But speaking of Ethereum, it's kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the room. How does Solana stack up against the platform that basically launched the whole smart contract revolution?
It is the question everyone wants answered.
Yeah.
Ethereum is still the leader in terms of developers and applications built on it,
Uh-huh.
but its reliance on proof of work is starting to hold it back,
Okay.
especially as the network gets more congested.
So Solana sees itself as like a potential successor to Ethereum, the next evolution.
In many ways, yes, Solana's speed and low fees are attracting a lot of developers who are looking for a more scalable and efficient platform to build on.
And it's not just theoretical potential.
Right.
Solana is already being used for real-world applications. What are some of the exciting things happening on the Solana network right now?
There's a lot to be excited about.
Okay.
One area where Solana is making a big splash is in NFTs.
Okay.
Remember the Degenerate Ape Academy?
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. It seemed like everyone was talking about Solana and these funky apes.
Yeah, it was one of the first major NFT projects launched on Solana, and it really put Solana on the map as a serious contender in the NFT space.
So what was it about Solana that made it so attractive for NFTs?
Well, the speed and low fees are a huge factor. Minting and trading NFTs on Ethereum can be slow and expensive, especially during times of high network traffic.
Yeah, makes sense.
Solana offers a much smoother and more affordable experience.
It makes a lot of sense, and it's not just about digital art and collectibles, right?
Right.
What other applications are there for Solana?
Another exciting area is decentralized finance, or DeFi.
DeFi.
Think of it like a parallel financial system
Okay.
that operates on the blockchain, cutting out the middlemen like banks and other financial institutions.
So things like lending, borrowing, trading, but all on a decentralized platform.
It is.
That's pretty radical.
It is. And Solana is a perfect platform for DeFi because it's so fast and efficient.
Yeah.
You can make transactions almost instantly for a fraction of the cost of traditional financial services.
I can see why people are excited about it. It could really disrupt the whole financial industry. What else is Solana good at?
Well, Solana is also gaining traction in the gaming world.
Okay.
Its speed and low latency make it ideal for creating immersive and responsive gaming experiences. Imagine playing games where you own your in-game assets and can trade them freely.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
It really puts the power back into the hands of the players.
Yeah, and NFTs would play a big role in that, representing unique in-game items and characters.
Yeah, for sure.
NFTs could be used to create virtual economies within games where players can buy, sell, and trade their digital assets.
This is starting to sound like science fiction, but it's happening right now.
It is.
It's amazing to think about the possibilities.
It really is, and this is just the beginning. As more developers and users embrace Solana, we're likely to see a whole new wave of applications emerge.
It's like the Wild West out there, full of potential and uncharted territory. But with any new frontier, there are always risks, right? What are some of the potential downsides or challenges facing Solana?
That's a great question, and it's important to be aware of the potential downsides.
Yeah.
One concern is that the network's high performance relies on specialized hardware.
Okay.
That could make it harder for smaller players to participate as validators, which could lead to centralization.
So there's a trade-off between speed and decentralization, something that a lot of blockchains struggle with.
Right.
What are some of the other risks?
Well, Solana is still a relatively new platform. It hasn't been around as long as Bitcoin or Ethereum, so it hasn't really been battle tested to the same extent.
So there's always a chance of bugs or vulnerabilities being discovered.
That's always a risk with any new technology. And as with any cryptocurrency, the price of SOL can be volatile.
Right.
It's important to approach it with a cautious mindset, do your research, and don't invest more than you can afford to lose.
Sound advice. But let's not dwell on the negatives. Let's talk about the potential upsides, the big picture. What's the ultimate vision for Solana? What kind of future is it trying to build?
The big picture is all about empowering individuals.
Okay.
And creating a more open and accessible digital world. Imagine a world where financial transactions are instant and nearly free, where digital ownership is secure and verifiable, and where anyone can participate in the global economy on a level playing field.
That's a powerful vision. It's about democratizing access to technology and financial services, breaking down the barriers that have traditionally excluded so many people.
Exactly. And Solana is building the infrastructure for that future. It's not just about technology. It's about empowering individuals and creating a more equitable and sustainable world.
I love that it's not just about making money. It's about using technology to make a positive impact on the world. Okay, I'm officially on board the Solana train, but before we wrap up, I have one final question for you. If Solana succeeds in its mission to be this super fast, super scalable, and accessible platform, What could that mean for the average person? What kind of real-world changes might we see?
That's the question that keeps me up at night. On a practical level, think
Hmm.
about things like sending money internationally right now. It can take days and cost a fortune in fees.
Yeah.
With Solana, it could happen instantly for pennies.
So remittances, international payments, all that becomes much more efficient and affordable.
Exactly. And think about supply chains, knowing exactly where your product is every step of the way from the moment it's made until it arrives at your doorstep,
Hmm.
all tracked on a secure and transparent blockchain.
That would be huge for reducing fraud and waste, and maybe even helping consumers make more informed choices about where their products come from.
Right. And those are just the obvious examples. What gets really interesting is how Solana could change the power dynamics between individuals and big institutions.
Okay, unpack that for me.
Think about the control that banks and financial institutions have over our money. Solana and DeFi have the potential to shift that power back to individuals, giving us more control over our own finances.
That's a pretty revolutionary concept. Are there any other ways this shift in power might play out?
Well, imagine a world where artists and creators can directly connect with their fans,
Okay.
cutting out the middlemen and capturing more of the value they create.
Yeah.
That's what NFTs on Solana are already starting to enable.
It's a whole new model for the creative economy, putting power and ownership back in the hands of the artists.
Exactly. And it's not just about economics. Think about the implications for governance and social organization. What happens when we can create more transparent and accountable systems for decision-making, voting, and resource allocation, all powered by blockchain technology?
Wow, that's a whole other rabbit hole to explore. So it sounds like Solana is not just about building a faster blockchain. It's about building a better future.
I think that's at the heart of it. It's about using technology to solve real-world problems and create a more equitable, sustainable, and empowering world for everyone.
Well, I'm officially a believer. Solana has definitely earned a spot on my watch list. Thanks for opening my eyes to this amazing technology.
It's been my pleasure. It's always exciting to see what's happening on the cutting edge of innovation.
And for our listeners, if you're interested in diving deeper into Solana, we'll include some links to the articles we discussed in the show notes.
Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty, experiment, and see what Solana's all about for yourselves.
That's what the deep dive is all about. Thanks for joining us.